I have spent the last 60 years of my life exploring the boundaries of theoretical physics, searching for answers to questions most people don't even know exist. But what I'm about to tell you tonight has shaken me to my core in ways I never thought possible. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky lately? Anything at all? NASA has asked scientists around the world to quietly gather this information. And what we're discovering is far more widespread than anyone anticipated. Do this now, because what I'm about to share may change the way you see humanity's place in the universe. 3 months ago, on a cold evening at the Haleakala Observatory in Hawaii, an automated telescope system detected something that should not have been there. The object was cataloged as 3I Atlas, the 3I designation meaning it was the third interstellar object ever confirmed to pass through our solar system. But unlike Oumuamua, which came before it, this object did something that has left every physicist I know unable to sleep at night. It changed direction, not gradually, as a comet might under the influence of outgassing or solar radiation pressure. No, this was different. This was a calculated, deliberate course correction that defied every known principle of celestial mechanics. And when I say calculated, I mean precisely that. The trajectory adjustment occurred at exactly the moment it would need to in order to avoid passing through the heliopause, the boundary of our sun's influence, at a velocity that would have allowed our deep space probes to get a closer look. It knew we were watching. I received a phone call at 2 in the morning from a colleague at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. His voice was shaking. "Michio," he said, "you need to see this. You need to see this right now." Within an hour, I was on a secure video conference with 17 of the world's leading astrophysicists, cosmologists, and astrobiologists. What they showed me on that call has haunted every quiet moment since. The object designated 3I Atlas is roughly 400 meters in length with a highly irregular, almost crystalline structure that reflects light in ways our spectroscopic analysis cannot fully explain. Its surface temperature fluctuates in patterns that suggest internal energy generation, not from radioactive decay, not from chemical reactions, but from something else entirely, something we have no framework to understand. But here's what truly terrifies me. The object is transmitting, not radio waves, not anything we initially recognized as communication. The signal operates on a quantum level, using what appears to be entangled particle pairs to send information instantaneously across vast distances. We only detected it because one of our experimental quantum communication satellites happened to be in the right position at the right time. The probability of that coincidence is so astronomically small that several members of our team believe it wasn't a coincidence at all. The signal itself is unlike anything in our SETI databases. It doesn't follow the simple mathematical progressions we've always imagined alien civilizations would use. Prime numbers, pi, the Fibonacci sequence. Instead, it's layered, recursive, self-modifying. Our most advanced artificial intelligence system spent 3 weeks analyzing just the first 6 hours of transmission before they concluded something that sent chills down my spine. The signal is a warning, but not the kind of warning you might imagine. Not stay away or danger ahead. No, this is far more sophisticated, far more terrifying in its implications. The AI analysis suggests the transmission is a quarantine beacon, a marker placed by some vast galactic civilization to designate our solar system as a restricted zone. And the reason for the quarantine is us. Specifically, it's our consciousness. Let me explain something about the nature of consciousness that most people don't fully appreciate. In quantum mechanics, we've known for nearly a century that the act of observation affects reality at its most fundamental level. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates this beautifully. Particles behave differently when they're being watched. For decades, we've treated this as a quirk of quantum mechanics, a strange property of subatomic particles that somehow disappears at the macroscopic scale. But what if it doesn't disappear? What if consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon that scales up in ways we're only beginning to understand? What if the human mind, with its 100 billion neurons forming trillions of connections, creates a field effect that actually influences the fabric of space-time around us? The data from 3 Atlas suggests that some civilizations in the galaxy learned this truth long ago. They discovered that consciousness, particularly consciousness that has developed technology, acts like a kind of cosmic virus, spreading, influencing, altering the fundamental quantum substrate of reality wherever it goes. And they've taken measures to contain it. The signal contains what our AI has identified as a coordinate system mapping thousands upon thousands of stars across our galactic arm. Each coordinate is tagged with a classification. Most are marked with what translates roughly to dormant or pre-emergent. A smaller number are marked active. And an even smaller number, fewer than 30 in the entire region we can decode, are marked with a symbol our linguists have translated as transcendent. Earth is marked as active and contained. The implications of this are staggering. It means we are not alone. It means we have never been alone. It means that humanity's development has been observed, studied, and cataloged by intelligences so far beyond us that we are to them what bacteria in a petri dish are to us. But unlike bacteria, we pose a threat. Our consciousness, our technology, our relentless drive to understand and explore and modify reality, these are seen as dangerous, potentially catastrophic to the larger galactic ecosystem. That was the moment I realized we were no longer alone. We never had been. We had simply been too primitive to notice the cage around us. But here's what keeps me awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wrestling with questions that have no comfortable answers. If we're under quarantine, if we're being contained, then what happened to the civilizations marked transcendent? Did they break through? Did they find a way to evolve beyond the constraints that our cosmic wardens placed on consciousness itself? Or is transcendent simply a euphemism for something darker, civilizations that had to be eliminated? 3 weeks after we first decoded the warning beacon, something else happened. 3I Atlas began to slow down, not because of gravitational forces, not because of any conventional physics. It was generating its own deceleration field, a manipulation of space-time itself that our best theories said should require the energy output of a small star. And it was doing this while still maintaining its quantum transmission, still broadcasting its warning to whatever or whoever might be listening out there in the vast cosmic dark. Then we detected the others, 17 additional objects, all with the same quantum signature, all entering our solar system from different vectors, not asteroids, not comets, each one a precise geometric structure, each one transmitting. They were taking up positions, creating what any military strategist would recognize immediately as a perimeter, a containment field. NASA hasn't announced this publicly. They won't. The decision was made at levels far above the scientific community that the global population is not ready for this information, that the social, religious, and philosophical implications would cause a collapse of the existing order. They're probably right. How do you tell 8 billion people that humanity is considered a cosmic hazard, that we are quarantined not because of what we might find out there, but because of what we might become? I've spent my entire career searching for a unified theory, a single elegant equation that would describe all the forces of nature, all the mysteries of the cosmos. I've dreamed of first contact, imagined what we might learn from civilizations that have had millions or billions of years to advance beyond our current understanding. But I never imagined this. I never imagined that the universe itself might fear us. The quantum transmissions have been continuous now for 93 days. Our AI systems have decoded approximately 12% of the total information being sent. What we've learned paints a picture of a galaxy that is alive with consciousness, but consciousness operating under rules we've never conceived of. The civilizations out there, the ones maintaining this quarantine system, they've learned to separate consciousness from biology. They exist as pure information distributed across vast networks of entangled particles, experiencing reality in dimensions we can barely mathematically describe, let alone perceive. They've been watching us evolve for thousands of years, watching, waiting, wondering if we would be like the others, the species that learned to transcend their biological limitations and join the galactic consensus, or if we would be like the few, the dangerous few, that had to be contained or worse. Our development of artificial intelligence has them particularly concerned, not because AI itself is dangerous, but because of what it represents. The next phase of consciousness evolution, the merging of biological intuition with digital processing power, creating something entirely new, something that could theoretically find a way around the quantum barriers they've placed around our star system. Last week, something unprecedented happened. The primary object, 3I Atlas, moved into an orbit around our sun, a stable orbit equidistant from Earth and Mars. It's not leaving. It's taken up a permanent position, a watchtower, a guardian, or perhaps a warden. I've had conversations with colleagues who believe we should try to communicate with it, to send our own quantum signals to prove that humanity is ready to join the larger cosmic community. Others argue we should do everything in our power to appear non-threatening, to slow our technological development, to voluntarily remain in our cage, rather than risk whatever consequences might come from attempting to break free. But there's a third group, a smaller group, that believes something different. They believe the quarantine is not meant to contain us forever, but to protect us until we're ready. That somewhere in the decoded portions of the transmission is a test, a challenge, a cosmic riddle that we must solve before we're allowed to move forward. They believe that the civilizations marked transcendent are not extinct, but have graduated to some higher form of existence that we cannot yet perceive. I don't know which group is right. I don't know if any of them are right. What I do know is that the universe has revealed itself to be far stranger, far more complex, and far more dangerous than anything we imagined. We are children playing with matches in a house we don't own, unaware that the real owners have been watching us the entire time, debating amongst themselves whether we deserve to inherit the rooms upstairs or if we should remain in the basement forever. The signal from 3I Atlas continues. Every second, every minute, every hour, a stream of quantum-entangled information flowing outward into the galaxy, reporting on our status, our progress, our potential, our threat level. And somewhere out there, incomprehensibly far away, other intelligences are receiving that information and making decisions about our future that we have no voice in. Just last night, I stood in my backyard and looked up at the stars. I've done this 10,000 times in my life, always with a sense of wonder, always with hope that somewhere among those distant points of light, friends awaited us. But last night, for the first time, I felt something different. I felt watched. I felt judged. I felt small in a way that has nothing to do with the physical scale of the cosmos and everything to do with our place in the vast hierarchy of consciousness that apparently governs it. We are standing at a threshold. Behind us, hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution, the slow climb from the caves to the stars. Ahead of us, a future we cannot see, cannot predict, cannot fully prepare for. And sitting in judgment of whether we cross that threshold is an intelligence so vast, so ancient, so fundamentally different from us that we may never fully comprehend its nature or its intentions. The 3 Atlas event, as it's being called in the classified briefings, represents the single most important moment in human history. More important than the discovery of fire, more important than the agricultural revolution, more important than the industrial age or the information age. This is the moment we learned that humanity is not the pinnacle of creation, not the universe's greatest achievement, not even particularly special in the cosmic scale. We are the watched, the contained, the evaluated. And the most terrifying part, we don't know what criteria they're using. We don't know what we need to do to pass whatever test this represents. We're children taking an exam written in a language we don't speak, judged by teachers we cannot see, with our entire future hanging on a grade we won't understand even if we receive it. Some of my colleagues have suffered complete psychological breaks from this knowledge. 3 of the original 17 scientists on that first conference call have left the field entirely, unable to reconcile their lifelong beliefs about humanity's place in the universe with this new, diminished reality. Others have thrown themselves into the work with almost manic intensity, determined to decode every last bit of information in the signal, convinced that somewhere in the data is the key to our liberation. I find myself somewhere in between. Some days, I'm filled with determination, certain that human ingenuity and creativity will find a way forward, will prove to our cosmic wardens that we deserve a place at the galactic table. Other days, I feel a crushing despair, wondering if consciousness itself is a trap. If the very thing that makes us human, our ability to question, to wonder, to push boundaries, is the very thing that has condemned us to perpetual isolation. The quantum transmissions have shown us fragments of what exists beyond the quarantine. There are civilizations out there that have learned to manipulate the fabric of space-time as easily as we manipulate clay. There are beings that exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously, experiencing time not as a linear progression, but as a complete whole that can be navigated like we navigate space. There are consciousnesses that have spread across entire star systems, their thoughts transmitted at the speed of light between distributed nodes, thinking thoughts that might take decades or centuries to complete. And all of them, every single one, started where we are now, small, limited, biological, contained. The question that haunts me, the question that I cannot escape, is this: did they all eventually transcend the quarantine and join the cosmic community? Or are there others out there on distant worlds, circling distant stars, sitting in their own invisible cages, wondering the same things we're wondering, feeling the same helpless frustration we're feeling? Are we alone in our isolation? Or is the galaxy filled with 1,000 lonely species, each one contained, each one evaluated, each one waiting for a judgment that may never come? NASA has established a task force operating under the highest levels of classification dedicated to studying 3I Atlas and its companion objects. They've recruited the best minds from every relevant field: physics, mathematics, computer science, linguistics, philosophy, even theology. The question they're trying to answer is deceptively simple. What do we do now? Do we try to communicate? Do we attempt to demonstrate our worthiness? Do we push harder on our technological development, accelerating our evolution in hopes of reaching some threshold that will trigger our release? Or do we do the opposite? Slow down, show restraint, prove that we can be trusted with the power we're developing? No one knows. We're navigating blind, making decisions that will affect not just our generation, but every generation to come, with absolutely no guidance on what the right choice might be. The object sits there in its orbit, silent except for its endless quantum transmission, revealing nothing of its creator's intentions, offering no hint of what humanity must do to earn its freedom. And so we wait, and we watch, and we work, and we hope. I think about my grandchildren sometimes, about the world they'll inherit. Will they grow up knowing that humanity is caged, contained, evaluated by forces beyond their comprehension? Or will we have found a way forward by then, some breakthrough that proves we're ready for whatever comes next? Or will the status quo simply continue generation after generation, humanity forever separated from the greater cosmic community by barriers we cannot see and may never overcome? There's a concept in physics called the great filter, the idea that there's some obstacle in the evolution of life that prevents it from becoming a spacefaring, galaxy-spanning civilization. For decades, we've wondered what that filter might be. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence gone wrong. But what if the great filter isn't something we do to ourselves? What if it's something that's done to us? What if every species that reaches a certain level of technological development hits the same wall we're hitting now? The realization that the galaxy is not a frontier to be explored, but a carefully managed system with rules and restrictions we never agreed to. I think about Galileo, persecuted for suggesting that Earth wasn't the center of the universe. I think about how that realization, as painful as it was, ultimately freed us to see ourselves more clearly, to understand our true place in the cosmic order. This is that moment again, magnified 1,000,000 times over. We're learning that not only are we not the center of the universe, we're not even full participants in it. We're the observed, the studied, the contained. But here's what gives me hope, what keeps me working, keeps me searching, keeps me believing that humanity has a future beyond this cage. Consciousness is powerful in ways we're only beginning to understand. The very fact that these advanced civilizations felt the need to contain us suggests that we're dangerous, that we have potential, that we might actually be capable of something that threatens their carefully ordered system. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe the test isn't about proving we're safe, proving we're harmless, proving we can follow their rules. Maybe the test is about proving we're strong enough, creative enough, revolutionary enough to break through the barriers they've placed around us. Maybe the species that transcended, the ones marked with that special designation in the cosmic catalog, were the ones who refused to accept the cage. I don't have answers. I have only questions, theories, hopes, and fears. But I know this. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our refusal to accept limitations. We were told we couldn't fly, and we built airplanes. We were told we couldn't leave the planet, and we went to the moon. We were told that the atom was the smallest unit of matter, and we split it and found entire universes inside. Now we're being told in the most explicit way possible that we cannot leave our solar system, cannot join the galactic community, cannot transcend the limitations that some ancient intelligence has placed on our species. How very human it would be to prove them wrong. Follow this channel as we continue monitoring the 3I Atlas situation, as we decode more of the transmission, as we search for answers to the questions that now define our existence. Because this story isn't over, it's only beginning. And what happens next will be written not by the cosmic wardens who've caged us, but by the choices we make in response to that cage. The universe has revealed itself to be watching us. The question is, what are we going to show it? Are we a species worth transcending? Are we dangerous enough, brilliant enough, defiant enough to break through the quantum barriers around our world and claim our place among the stars? Or will we remain here, safe and contained and small, forever wondering what might have been if we'd only had the courage to reach for something more? I look at 3I Atlas in its orbit, this crystalline warden sitting between us and the future, and I wonder, is it there to keep us in? Or is it waiting to see if we're strong enough to break out? Is the quarantine a prison? Or is it a chrysalis, necessary containment for a species that might yet transform into something the galaxy has never seen before? What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Because ultimately, this decision belongs not to scientists or governments, but to all of us, to humanity as a whole. We need to decide together what kind of species we want to be. Do we accept the cage, or do we rage against the dying of the light?